I'd like to call this meeting of the Burtchville Township Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I will start, if we could, with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Some of you folks don't know some of us, I think, but for those who don't, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself and then ask these two gentlemen to introduce themselves as well. My name is Paul Schmidt, and I'm the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Don Deachin.
Jim King.
Okay. So the townships the size of Burtchville have a ZBA that simply has three members, and an alternate. But normally it's a three-member board. Bigger townships have bigger boards, but this is what we have. Okay, you guys have copies of the agenda. Look good to you? Fine?
Yep.
Okay. We don't have minutes from our last meeting. We actually already approved them. So we can move on to the public hearing portion. And this is where we're here today to discuss a request for a zoning variance from the petitioner, Eric Saunders. And I'm going to ask Eric to, Eric is here? Eric, okay. I'm going to ask you to verbalize what you basically put in writing in a moment here. But just so the rest of you understand, they are in the right place to be allowed to do something which is in violation of Burtchville Township's laws or ordinances. But the burden typically is on the petitioner to prove that conditions exist that are such that they can't use the property reasonably without the variances that are being requested. So with that, Eric, would you please kind of verbalize the variances that you are requesting?
Yeah, may I go over that with you?
Sure.
Or,
Sure.
because I wrote it up, right?
Yeah, you did. That sure is, yeah.
Yeah, the property is located, it's a vacant lot on 6658 Lakeshore. It's been vacant for as long as we can date it back because of the, I guess there was some boat livery or something like that down on the lake at one time, but it's no longer there. The application for the zoning board of appeals is based on the fact that it's a 100 by 100 foot lot, and the neighboring homes and houses all have to qualify for variances as well, or there wouldn't have been any houses along this whole plot. But the limit of construction is desired because it would, or the variances are desired because it will limit construction to place a home there. Also, the setback for the septic system has to be there because it doesn't have septic. So we have to have a septic field on the south side of the lot. And we already have that approval. Without getting into some of the other issues on the neighbor on the south side, we are within the laws of the township as far as where that can be located, or county. The residents across the street, Lakeshore Road, have used, I guess, this lot to transfer back and forth through, thinking that it was an open lot or open access, but it is not. It's a private lot. So placing a home there will help prevent traffic, I guess, up and down through the from the one side of Lakeshore to the lake side. And also the proposed home is in character in the line of sight. So my architect, we did draw up some plans. We have taken, according to the request of the inspector, that we talk about the zoning and doing the line of sight from the previous home. So we're not set forward towards the lake or back towards the road any more than the homes are already given in the neighbors, right on the lake side. I didn't do any on the non-lake side or on the other side of the road because those homes were not involved in any restrictions on access on setbacks. So we do encroach on the front yard, which is on the lake side, and also on the rear yard, which is closer to the road. We do have enough setback from the center of the road, but it's it's basically right on the line, maybe a few feet over on the setback. We don't go over the landmarks of the property line. And then there's also encroachment on the north side yard because of the side entrance on the deck, because of the position and my requirement for the septic system, which will be on the south side of the lot. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Rod, I'm going to ask you to comment specifically on you denied him a building permit based on his plans and the reasons for that. This is our zoning administrator, Rod.
Right. They came to us and the line of sight was done 2 houses back on both sides. And the deck is what goes out into that alignment area. It's too close to the road, the rear yard, I think by 10 feet, but it seems to line close to the other houses that are there. The side is a stairway going up, entrance to a deck, and that encroaches into the side setback.
The side yard setbacks are 10 feet?
10 feet.
On a lot of that size.
But that's the opposite side of the septic system, so I think they had to hug it that way. Those are the issues that I see.
Okay. We have no correspondence on this one way or the other. I checked this afternoon and there was nothing, so. But there are a number of people here, and so if you would like to speak, either in favor of granting the variance, one or all. Basically, there are 3 variances being requested, or a variance being requested on 3 issues. Side yard on the north side, front yard which faces the lake, and the rear yard, which I think is also called the front yard in our zoning, the part that faces the street. So that's really 3 issues. So is there anybody, if you do want to speak, please just give me your name and your address, and then we'll let people.
Yeah, Joe Molinaro, 6640 Lake Shore. I'm actually 2 houses to the south of his property.
Okay.
And Rod, are you taking concern the house right next to his lot on the south side?
They went back 2 houses on each side. The ordinance allows that.
So they'd go back to my house. So he's actually gonna push it on a little bit further, which is, it's not gonna interfere with any of my abuse of the lake. I have no objections at all of them coming out.
I have a question. Just for Esther Churchman, 6974 Lakeport Drive. I thought that our zoning ordinance stated that the imaginary line as far as the line of sight is the properties adjacent to the north and the south.
Would you address this? I actually did
You
too.
can go to the second parcel, both sides of the lot.
Is that defined in our zoning ordinance anywhere? Where, do you know where that is?
I haven't moved copies.
He should have took it back. That's what it's worth.
In the house, it doesn't stay either.
But you're not gonna.
I think it's 19.04. I'm looking at it right now.
Should be original, yeah, it is 19.
Yeah, here it is. diagram anyway.
Two,
Yeah.
the diagrams in 1942.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, okay, I just was asking that question for clarification,
Sure.
because I didn't understand that our ordinance was written for two houses. My understanding is just the adjacent properties, according to
Good question.
section 19.
Okay, while he's looking that up, would anybody else care to speak?
Karen Crockett, 6679 Lake Shore. I'm, I think, 2 to the north across the street.
Okay.
My big question is, if you go lot line to septic field on the south and then lot line to stairway or whatever on the north, how are you gonna get boats or jet skis, whatever you decide to buy in the future, down to the beach?
Okay, address it to me, and then I'll ask you to respond. Would you care to respond to her? Would you care to respond to her
Yes,
question?
we have it within our house design,
Okay,
is to have it direct going out.
okay.
But we don't load there or disembark there. We have, we put in at the canal over in the Black River.
Now, but you know, you might decide to buy boat hoist.
We
You might
have a boat
decide
hoist.
to buy more stuff in the future, and I just wondered how it was gonna get there.
We've had a boat hoist there for 4 years, 5 years. We just haven't put it in all the time, but that's what we do currently, and that's where we store it. Yeah.
Just wondered.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, Tom Javits, 6672 Lake Shore Road, the whole north of the vacant lot. My home's 15 years old. I got a variance from the planning commission.
ZBA.
Because basically everything in that stretch, which was used to be zoned commercial, and now, I looked at it the other day, all of a sudden residential and no mobile dwellings and all of that, which is probably a surprise to me, but not really, because I didn't keep up with progress. But basically, that's the only way you can build a home on there, is to have a rear setback towards the road. Towards the road, to have a variance in your backyard. That's the only way you can put any really type of home or sizable or usable home with an attached garage. I'm sure without, there'd be more room. Don't have a problem with the south because of the septic system, and I know you need that. A stairway on the north side, which is directly out my kitchen window, and our dining room window is an architectural projection, maybe, and not that really, it covers that much, but the encroachment over the surveyed or plotted property line on the front towards the lake, and I think it's 21 feet on the deck. I see if that happens, and even a minimal amount of lawn chairs or deck material to go on the deck like that, with my view, would be really diminished quite a bit. And other than that, that's the only objection I have to this. Oh, and I have one other comment. When I built my home, of course, that's 15 years ago, we had to go 200 feet north or south to get your front property line setback of your dwelling. And now, if that holds true of two dwellings each way, and they're basically 100-foot lots or 100 and 102-foot lots, so that's basically the same as what it was 15 years ago, but in the ordinance I see, they didn't go 2 dwellings south and 2 dwellings north, there was just one. And of course, I'm spoiled, I've been there 42 years looking down the beach, and that's okay. Thank you.
In section 19.5, under B,
It says the township zoning administrator may utilize nearby properties in the same area to establish a setback line that is consistent with the majority of the surrounding properties in the area. That's why I chose to go to both sides.
Okay. All right, Esther, does that at least answer your?
No, I have read that, I didn't interpret that, but I haven't studied the homes 2 doors to the north and 2 doors to the south to really understand it. I guess what I think is important is that if you do draw the imaginary line, and you're going to be building a home, and you want to be respectful of your neighbors, and have a nice, happy home, not start off with obstructing your neighbor's views and getting started off on the wrong foot. I think it's good to be respectful of the imaginary line of sight.
All right, anybody else?
I don't think that Rod was with us when we went through, the planning commission had gone through a great deal of work on a percentage of destruction of homes in which a home could be rebuilt. And I was instrumental in getting that ordinance changed. I don't know if any of you, the gentleman that's owned his house for 15 years, your house may have been on the list. There were 450 properties and or homes that were on that list. And this was specifically addressed to this particular situation. The attorney was called in, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what it was about was if you lived there and your
So
home...
these are, by the way, lawfully non-conforming structures.
Exactly. And that's what I believe that those homes are. They are lawfully conforming, non-conforming structures.
Excuse me, are we on a different subject here?
No, not at all.
Is there vacant lots and new homes?
Yeah, it is a vacant lot.
It's a vacant lot.
Yeah,
This particular
Yes.
one is.
Yeah.
Okay, just for clarification, thank you.
Now, my point being that if your home were just, the board had asked the planning commission to do this. They wanted to upgrade the setbacks and make them newer. And so on the property that you own, it would have moved from what was, wherever the idea is if your home was destroyed by more than this percentage, you would not be able to rebuild to your current footprint. And I did not think that that was a correct thing. So I went to a lot of homes that would not be able to rebuild their home to the footprint because of the lot size. And at the last minute, the board had decided that that number was 60%. So the ordinance read that if your home is destroyed 60% or more, you now had to conform to the new setbacks. And my point was that if you owned a 100-foot wide lot and you had to come in 20 feet on each side, you could only build up. And so I did not think that it was correct for the board to do this. So the planning commission sent the board this thing with 60%. An attorney was hired and or lived along the lake, came in here along with citizens that lived in similar situations, and the board switched their request, so that zoning ordinance no longer applies. So my point being that when you have a blank lot and you want to come in for a variance, that it should, because you and your neighbors can now rebuild to the footprint that you normally would have been able, that you would not have been able to, I think it's fitting, and if it fits within the design of that neighborhood, which I'm guessing that it does, that's my reasoning for saying I think it should be allowed.
Okay.
There's enough properties up and down that lake that do not meet these requirements, and the board itself decided that they did not want to make any changes whatsoever. Originally they did, they wanted everybody to conform, which would have meant that those houses, if they were destroyed in any way, shape, or form, would never have been able to be rebuilt.
As they currently.
As they currently exist, right. And so,
All right, well, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to say something, either in favor or in opposition to?
Let me make another comment too.
Sure.
Yeah, the main, I think by Tom's apparent comments there, the main view is going to affect him the most probably from the angle from where the deck is. And what I've tried to do as far as the whole property is concerned, and you may have known the property, it has a bunch of trees in the front of it, pine, fir, blue spruce, a pin oak, and it runs right on down the side between our yards. There's also a cedar tree that sits on the corner of the northeast corner. And that's the main, probably blocker of anything that you'll be looking at. So we designed it so it wouldn't encroach on, to be any worse than that tree would be that's there now. And we hope to maintain that tree, and we also have shrubs along the boundary lines as well, which obviously, create a nice aesthetic look. But my intention was not to obviously block anybody's view, but to try to maintain also the natural habitat of trees. I tried to remove part of a tree that makes them have hopefully a little bit better look out on the lake, but also as a safety thing because it was cottonwood and the branch that was there.
Is that the big one that is down?
Yeah, that one had been trimmed back a few times, but that one actually sits, right on the first drop off or cliff or whatever. The other one, which sits further down towards the lake, we took off the west branch of that because it went up in 3 different branches. And so that was the intention from the extension agent that came out and evaluated the trees and the shrubs and the trees that were there, because I wanted to keep those there eventually. So I didn't want to try to encroach in the view because I wanted to keep the natural setting there of that tree. And I didn't think that what we had designed was going to cut any of your view because of that cedar tree that we were going to try to maintain. Okay?
Okay.
So, thank you.
Sure. All right. Anybody else? Okay. It looks like we would go into our discussion phase, and we may call upon some people asking questions, but do you have any questions?
Well, one of my questions was, the structure is, for lack of a better word, cockeyed to the parallel lines of the property, and what was the reasoning for that?
I can answer that.
Tell us who you are, please.
My name is Gary Jackson, I'm the architect.
Okay.
With the meeting that I had here with Township, I suggested that I could use the imaginary line.
As a straight line across the front of the house?
So I drew 2 imaginary lines, one on the east side and one on the west. These prints are the same, the only thing they show is an overhang to the north, and an overhang to the south, and an overhang at the garage. And I will give each one of you gentlemen a copy. So by going from this direction to this direction, I had a sight.
It would be that direction, southernmost,
Yes.
northernmost, okay.
Or
This one,
if you chose to
Well,
use the second one.
1, 2.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the point, because I was looking at this, if we use these 2 points, we gotta use this one way in here.
This is the wall.
Right, right.
And that's all.
You gotta take several lines.
That's what they said, so at this point, what's this line, is this that imaginary line? No.
That's why that.
So I was looking for the imaginary line.
The imaginary line starts here, it goes to here.
Why would we go there and
Because that's part of the
there?
house.
No, but it says northernmost. In the book, it points to the northernmost corner, not the one that's furthest east. What corner, not the one that sticks out. It says northernmost. Not the one that sticks out the most, the northernmost.
The southern,
Well, the southernmost for one house and northernmost for the next.
well, this is the northern. This is the southern.
But
What are you saying, this would be
the
the northern?
the northernmost corner of the southern house, the southernmost corner of the northern house.
I interpreted it. But this is the northern part of
That's more north than that is. Clearly.
Well, that's, Tom, is this? Rod? Excuse me.
This shows the projection, and projection. As a part of the first floor, second floor.
I got a question for you here.
Okay,
I think the biggest thing is, you're talking about how the residents, sometimes your lines are here, your lot lines,
correct.
how the house is sitting cockeyed.
Well,
your lot lines.
that's
Is
where
it
I came
possible?
up,
Is it possible to turn this?
well, I use the imaginary line here,
No, no.
the imaginary line here,
We knew that, we know
being
that.
parallel,
I realize,
that's the way it works.
Because what we thought,
by turning this whole thing, wouldn't you be gaining?
you get rid of that setback on the north side of the property.
No,
Or a good deal of it, you'd actually have this would be outside of the.
it's actually, this part of this house is lining up with this. This is a parallel line to this one.
Well, it seems to settle whatever it is.
Okay, our normal, the normal period for public comment, of course, is passed, but I just want anybody who has since decided they want to say something, or would like to say something in support or against, give them a chance to do so before we make our decision. Anybody? Okay, all right, good. We've kind of discussed it. We feel that there are, typically when granting variances, you grant them based on the existence of something very unique about the property, which makes it different. An example, a few years ago, we granted a person who had a lot that had three, approximately 90-degree corners, but not four. The other one was curved, and we granted him some relief on the curved side because that's a very unusual lot, a unique lot. So in looking at this lot's plenty wide, that's not an issue. This lot's got basically straight corners, but it's what I would call, and I think we would all agree, it's kind of a short lot, if that's the right word to use. The width of it's great.
Depth.
The depth, yeah. It's got a short depth, and I know that there are a number of people, some of whom are here, along that stretch who have asked for and gotten relief on that because of that consideration, the shortness. That is relief on the roadside.
On the roadside.
So, either one of you gentlemen prepared to make a motion?
Why don't you tell them what we decided on the three motions? And,
Well, I mean, we need it as a formal motion from somebody.
One at a time or
Yeah,
together?
yeah, well, you can do it all together, but just,
Well, to separate them, I think, for me, make a motion that
okay.
we're talking the roadside or considered the rear side setback that they're asking for, that we grant that as they requested. Because the ordinance says 30 feet and they're asking for it to be 20.
So that's 10 feet, right?
Yep.
Okay. And with respect to the side yard,
With respect to the side yard, which is the north section of theirs, I would not grant that as requested, because it's the staircase that is causing the encroachment.
so your movement, the motion is that we deny the
Deny
side.
this setback to the north. And they can put a different staircase up to solve that problem.
And then,
And then the final, they've requested the front or the lakeside setback to where it is on the line of sight, and using the line of sight, it doesn't encroach in that line of sight.
the main
The
structure.
main
does not.
structure. I would like to approve that with stipulation, wording that guarantees that the decking railing material is non-obstructive, so that the neighbor to the north can see through it. It's not gonna be all redwood and beautiful redwood that blocks the view, which the homeowner wouldn't wanna block his view anyway. They talked about some stainless steel, minor tubing, some railing that is non-obstructive, and if we can add that wording
As a condition.
as a condition. Because the house itself doesn't intrude on the front side, line of sight, it's the deck that does.
And on that side, we can approve that, Jim, if they turn the steps around into the west.
Well, we wouldn't, they wouldn't need it if they did that. So we would deny that, but. So he's saying, so basically, he's saying grant them relief on the roadside and grant them no relief on the side yard. So they still have to have the minimum 10-foot side yard, and grant them relief on the deck, on the condition that the deck have a non-obstructive rail.
Railing
I'll
strip.
make that a motion, and we accept that.
Okay, you second that?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion? We've had some, but these things always work opposite of Robert's rules.
No, the only thing is, we're denying the petition on the north side because of the steps. So you know how to rectify that.
Can the deck be covered?
Well,
Non-obstructive.
And that would be a good, maybe, well, I phrase that condition, I will include that, not covered. But, any other? All right, all in favor?
Aye?
All right.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so we have, I think you understand, approves the rear yard issue, a variance for that. We have not approved the side yard, and we have approved the deck, which extends beyond that line of sight with the conditions. No roof, or no roof and clear.
we just moved the staircase towards the west,
Okay.
and we're in.
You can take that up with Brian. You know,
No problem, thank you very much.
all right, all in favor?
Gotta return.